my name is redacted. Regardless, I am an unemployed engineer currently exploring my passion for fashion. This particular trend has been my hyperfixation for about a month, and I had to make a video so I just don't have to think about it anymore. I will not think about it anymore. It must end. It must stop. So, that being said, I think that the biggest trend in footwear that we will see in 2025 going into 2026 is spats. Spats in all of their glory. At least it should be, and here's why. Reason 1. Modular clothing, versatility, and overconsumption. We are seeing a major rise in modular clothing. Small brands like Cast with a Label have put out tops that are to die for. I have not stopped thinking about this particular one for weeks. We continue to see skirts over pants. We've just entered and maybe are slightly exiting a bag charm accessorization trend. And some brands have started to put out heel height adjustable, like convertible shoes. I think they need a little bit of work on the design, if I'm being honest. But we all kind of see this is starting to roll into that multifunctional clothing space. So that being said, I think that spats would be practical, functional, and very cute in many instances. First, a little bit of history. Spats, which is short for spatterdashes, were invented around the 17th century in England, and they have been used historically to weatherproof, weatherize, convert shoes. As you can see, they can be very helpful in this aspect because they can protect both the shoe and the wearer from the elements. They are commonly made out of leather, a canvas like cotton material, or wool, and you may know them as boot covers or gaiters or half chaps. I will be defining spat as something that contains most commonly a stirrup, an upper portion, and a boot shaft portion. You're probably most familiar with spats in their 1920s version, shown here, but there are a number of surviving Victorian versions as well as military and equestrian versions. As you can see here, some niche fashion groups have already started to pick these up just beyond their functional use cases in the modern day. But I think there's a lot more room, and I don't think we should be limited to what's currently on the market. Because spats allow you to use any base pair of shoes, frankly, there's a lot of untapped potential with this. Not to mention the space savings and the potential cost savings that could make this a game changer product. Listen, let's be honest with each other. If you've already made it this far in the video, I think there's a semi-high likelihood that you already have an overconsumption problem like yours truly, okay? I could use some space savings. Yes, that would be helpful. Yes, I would appreciate them. Yes, thank you. And frankly, I think that the reason that we don't already have spats in the ways that I will iterate going forward is a conspiracy by Big Shoe. I think Big Shoe has been doing this to us to sell more shoe. And I don't think that's right. I don't think you should have to buy a new shoe every season or really even every year, every couple of years, just to get a look that you're wanting when those shoes are still perfectly functional. You can actually pretty easily track some of the initial stages of the spats trend through the Shark boot, leg warmers, the Kiko Bow boot, and some 2-in-1 boots that have been on the market for a little while. But if you're anything like me, some of these definitely spark more joy than others, to be said in as nice a way as possible, and we're probably in agreement on which ones those are. That being said, you can see why there is a need for better options on the market. Which brings me to reason 2. A personal agenda for more vintage boot designs. Listen, I see all these beautiful boots. You see all these beautiful boots. They are not available to me, frankly, at all, or in my size, or in my price point, nor the price point of the average person, which I would ballpark as around $150 or less for most new pairs of shoes. Now, the details that I want to see in spats that essentially I am proposing here, I want to see a cutout heel for more shoe integration, more under shoe integration. I want to see curves. I want to see fitted. I want to see shaped, interesting shapes. I want these shoes to be curvaceous and vivacious. Okay, I want everything. So some current designs that I would love to see and I think would purchase at a reasonable price point if they were available as spats. I have my antique styles, my tall spat, my bicycle boot, my Edwardian boot. I also have 60s and 70s styles that I gush over. The tapestry boot, the lace-up go-go boot, the 70s glam boot. All of these you may be interested in as well. So essentially I'm proposing a general structure here as such. I think this should be the prototypical model because look, I love the look of these vintage Fry lace-up campus boots. I am not spending $300 to $500 on a boot. I'm not going to do it. I won't wear something like this every day. I will wear it, but it's not an everyday thing. And again, this doesn't even go into the versatility aspects where you could pair this boot upper design, this SPAT, with practically any other shoe in your wardrobe. Reason 3, accessibility. That brings me to boot shaft adjustability. Now, I personally have very large feet. I wear a women's size 11, and I have very skinny calves. Okay, they're skinty, they do not fit. Boots, I am swimming in boots constantly. I cannot find a boot shaft that fits my calf most of the time. I know the opposite problem is true for many other people, where they cannot find wide calf options to fit their calves. There's no reason for this. To me, it seems like a no-brainer that instead of brands producing sizes 6 through 10, which again doesn't even include my size 11, brands could instead make spats in 1 to 3 sizes, maybe a standard and a narrow and a wide, and have that be applicable to a broader customer base, cheaper, less materials, etc., etc. How accessible is this for the brands? They already make these in form. If you look at a boot manufacturing process, they essentially have what it would be considered a spat before attaching it to the boot upper and attaching that structure to the sole. They already make it. It would take very, very few adjustments to adapt it. Reason 4, sustainability. Now, me, I buy all of my clothing secondhand. It's no shock to anyone that secondhand clothing is increasing in market share, we'll say. So I'm putting this video out partially to be preemptive in saying I want this trend to be as sustainable as possible. Now, big disclaimer here, do not buy fast fashion versions of these spats. Loud, incorrect buzzer noise. They will be poor quality and they will not look good. They will not. Brands are going to use faux leather to make these shoes, and that will disintegrate over time. Okay, maybe you've seen some like flaky boots at the thrift store before, or you've had a faux leather something that started to flake. That is inevitable. That is what that material does. It is not a long-term solution. It doesn't have any longevity. In addition, these fast fashion brands also won't spend the proper amount of time in the design stages for this product due to the need to push things out so quickly, so they're just not going to fit right. If you want anything fitted, nice looking, adaptable, it's not going to come from fast fashion. Don't do it. It's not worth it. As a matter of fact, if your shoe looks like this, if I can imagine your shoe making this noise, I think my point is made. Or any sort of like dry creaking, Party City, Spirit Halloween, spooky ooky, no. Now, I also think it should be a lot more common for people to have their shoes resoled, get a good working relationship with their local cobbler. When's the last time you resold a pair of shoes versus you bought a new pair of shoes? Yeah, I think you, like me, probably did not answer that question in the most sustainable way. It's just, that's what we are currently trained to do. Let's break that cycle. Let's break it. SPATS would allow brands to use less material, less production costs, less time to produce superior products. Additional benefit, if brands are really smart and they care about sustainability, like many of them claim in their mission statements, they could also use scrap materials to make these. They could use overstock or dead stock fabrics. They could use scrap leather. This could be made a zero waste product because any bits of leather that are left from the cutting process could probably be turned into some form of design, okay? It would be not very difficult to change these into an even more sustainable option. And as a further incentive for brands, I think this would create more return customers. Because if a brand becomes known for cool designs and you don't have to front the cost of an entirely new pair of shoes, you can do like half cost of a new pair of shoes. I think there will be more return customers. It's a new market. Can't verify that, but I have a gut feeling. Obviously, I made the video, right? From a brand's perspective, I think the biggest hurdle in getting this type of product adopted will be to get the average consumer on board, but I really think this is easily doable by just including the first model to have a go along with pair of shoes, basically something like this. So maybe first release around, they sell this like dual model, this convertible model, and then afterwards they start selling individual spats. I think it's easy adoption. I think it could totally work. Let's try. Maybe this will be personally relatable. I'm going to ask you to raise your hand if you've had a pair of thrifted shoes crumble underneath you. Yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of raised hands here. I'm seeing a lot of raised hands. And that's okay. but I would like this to potentially be an alternative to convert those boots or boots that you see at the thrift store with no heel cap, degrading shoes, whatever, to be repurposed into spats, something still wearable, something still keeping the integrity of that original design. My most recent victim to this, a lovely pair of Victorian style shoes, shattered beneath my ego. Yes, absolutely shattered, shattered. So I'm turning them into spats. They're currently black. Do you think I should paint the middle section white, get that kind of like 20s spat look, or should I cover them with like floral tapestry fabric? All right. All right, so what are we thinking? Do we like this? Do we want them? I want them. Sorry to maybe get you excited about a product that doesn't exist. I'm not a manufacturer. If you would like more of these videos, please sound off in the comments below. I have a few other ideas, but I'd like encouragement. I'd like words of encouragement like anybody else. All right, huge, huge shout out to the creators that somewhat inspired or we were on the same wavelength with this idea. So first, Chloe Philopoulos, listen, she is Spat Queen. She is Spat Queen, and I think she'll be on board with this. Chloe, let me know if you see this. Also, Caroline Tucker, hello, thank you for the 70s boot inspiration. I'm obsessed. I don't have them, I need them. I'm working on it. And finally, Ash Callaghan, listen, you've been making videos in the same vein. Sorry to potentially steal some thunder on this, but I needed that terminology to be out there because I was obsessing for a long time. But I feel you, same wavelength, same wavelength. So thanks again. Subscribe for more potentially. You can find me on other platforms under Fashion Inventure. Bye.